Given the character's exalted status as part of DC's trinity of heroes alongside Superman and Batman, it may be surprising to many readers that Wonder Woman hasn't had the same amount of epic storylines as her male counterparts.
Sure, Wonder Woman was super popular when she debuted in the 1940s, no doubt bolstered partially by the comic's bondage-based imagery, but sales came back down to earth over time with attempts to modernize the heroine, like having her lose her powers and take up martial arts, providing no oomph at all. That would change in the wake of the Crisis on Infinite Earths event, which led to DC relaunching their universe. Wonder Woman's relaunch was helmed by superstar artist George Perez, whose name alone provided a huge sales boost. However, when Perez left the book, so did the sales. Not to say that any of these stories were necessarily bad, just low selling. Wonder Woman attracted creators like William Messner Loebs, John Byrne, Phil Jimenez, and Greg Rucka, all of whom had acclaimed runs on the book. The last two in particular had Diana being appointed as Amazonian ambassador to the United Nations, and her place in society being examined, focusing on things like animal rights, capital punishment, and religious protests.
In the wake of the Infinite Crisis crossover event, which notably kicked off with Wonder Woman killing a man named Maxwell Lord, the Greek gods pulled the island of Themyscira into another plane of existence for 1 year and instructed Diana to better ingratiate herself in humanity by living as a human being for a while. Apparently not understanding what the job title of ambassador is. Anyway, this led to Wonder Woman taking the civilian identity of Diana Prince and joining the Department of Meta-Human Affairs. She was also placed under an enchantment that restricted her from using her Wonder Woman abilities when in her civilian identity. This allowed for someone else to temporarily become Wonder Woman for a while.
DC had high hopes for the storyline direction, which was pitched by writer Alan Heinberg, best known for his work on Marvel's Young Avengers and the television series The O.C. Yes, he's partially responsible for that. Anyway, it was hoped that this would provide Wonder Woman with a sales boost not seen since the Perez run.
Unfortunately, not too long after taking the job assignment for writing Wonder Woman, Mr. Heinberg got hired as the head writer for the series Grey's Anatomy, and this caused him to wind up leaving the book, which was already suffering from massive shipping delays. To replace him, DC enlisted New York Times bestselling author Jodi Picoult. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing that name. However, Picoult herself would wind up leaving after one arc, and DC replaced her with Gail Simone.
Simone has had a long career that covered almost everything from The Simpsons to Deadpool to Birds of Prey, though she's probably still best known for a column commenting on the trope of writers doing bad things to female characters as a cheap shtick to elicit emotion, and that inspired the Women in Refrigerators website. Still, if there was anyone who could bring stability to Wonder Woman, it would be Gail Simone. Today we're looking at her first story on the book. This is Wonder Woman, The Circle. A woman wanders through the empty island of Themyscira. She visits prisoners being held at the north, south, east, and west points of the island. None of them are repentant for their actions, but one named Alcyon has a gift for the woman, a crown carved out of wood. After all, Hippolyta is queen of the Amazons. Hippolyta is taken back by Alcyon's continued loyalty, considering she's in jail for a reason. Alcyon says the Amazons will only be whole again when the dragon known as Diana is dead.
Wonder Woman's relationship with her mother Hippolyta was strained during the events of a storyline called Amazon's Attack, and... Yeah, bees, my god, granny goodness! Okay, now that we got that out of our system, back to the storyline. Anyway, Hippolyta led an, attack by the Amazons on Washington, D.C. because she believed her daughter was being held hostage. All of this was revealed to be the manipulations of the witch Circe.
As this is happening, Wonder Woman is in Africa taking on a troop of soldiers from Gorilla City. Gorilla Grodd has genetically enhanced the platoon to be strong enough to take down Superman, and Diana is merely a test. The troops are strong, but she's stronger. She tangles Tolafar, the group's leader, in the lasso of truth, and he explains that the platoon came across some poachers, and they have been banished from Gorilla City thanks to their association with Grodd. Realizing that this group are just kids with no place to call their own, Diana promises to help negotiate peace with Gorilla City and work on fighting the poachers. Until then, the Gorillas can crash at her apartment in Washington, D.C. Everyone manages to settle in just as Diana's partner, Tom Tresser, arrives to carpool her to work.
Tom Tresser is a secret government operative known as Nemesis, who used to work for a criminal organization called the Council. However, he broke away from them after he discovered that they had killed his brother Craig. However, the Council in turn would wind up recruiting a new agent Nemesis named Sasha Mikros.
Nemesis has set up a special meeting for Diana in the form of a surprise birthday party. He had learned her birth date from reading her personnel files. It's okay, as he admits to having read everyone's personnel files as he hands her a slice of cake.
No, it isn't.
As she partakes of the baked goods, Diana is approached by the agency's director, Sarge Steele. Grodd was last seen associating with a group called the Secret Society of Supervillains out of a base operating in Toronto. He's dispatched Diana and Tresser to the location and moves on to meet someone else, someone he's requested, Etta Candy.
Etta Candy is a longtime partner and friend of Wonder Woman, known for her free spirit and devil-may-care attitude. Unfortunately, she's also known as Diana's plus-sized friend. In the post-crisis relaunch, Etta Candy became a career Air Force intelligence officer who would eventually marry Diana's ex-boyfriend, Steve Trevor. Now, Sarge Steele is the head of the Department of Metahuman Affairs, but he's also been a longtime spy in the DC Universe, and he's been highly suspicious of Wonder Woman and Diana Prince, particularly in the wake of the Amazon's attack incident.
Steele explains that he brought Etta in to find out any possible dirt on Diana, Wonder Woman, or both. She accepts, explaining that if Diana has betrayed America, she'll come to regret it. Meanwhile, Diana and Nemesis go to Grodd's base of operations. The place is all but abandoned except for one person. Except it's not Grodd. It's Captain Nazi.
If the name wasn't enough of an indicator, Captain Nazi is a genetically enhanced Nazi super soldier who was placed in suspended animation at the end of the war so that, upon being reawakened, he could revive the Fourth Reich. He's best known for killing a man named Jacob Freeman and breaking the spine of Jacob's grandson, Freddie Freeman, who would go on to become the superhero Captain Marvel Jr.
The captain tosses the two government agents around, explaining that this is all a cover so the Fourth Reich can invade Themyscira and raid the Amazonian weapon technology. Nemesis is knocked out as Diana manages to monkey flip the captain through a wall, allowing her to change into Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman manages to knock the captain out and tie him up in the lasso of truth. He resists giving up any information on the invasion, but Diana is able to tap into his deepest memories, like his prostitute mother selling him into the genetic enhancement program. She explains that none of this made the captain evil, only the evil that he brought himself, and this is enough for the captain to give up the information. Back on Themyscira, Hippolyta notices the invading troops and begins to prepare to take them down or die trying. She puts on Amazonian battle armor and lies in wait to take down a group of passing soldiers. She then leads another group into a chamber containing an ancient tentacle monster. Calling upon the assistance of a Pegasus, Hippolyta then takes to the air. Meanwhile, Diana returns to her apartment where, despite her initial objections, the apes volunteer to assist her in defending her homeland. Still, the Greek gods have blocked Diana from accessing Themyscira, so she's going to have to turn to other pantheons for help. Odin of the Norse gods and Raijin of Japan both turn her down. Finally, she pledges fealty to Kane Miholai of Polynesia, who grants her access via a special clamshell. Back on Themyscira, the Reich troops happen across one of the holding cells. The woman inside, most likely Alcyon, explains that the invaders have no chance against Hippolyta. However, they could get some help for a price.
So who exactly are these four prisoners, and what leverage is it that they have on Hippolyta? Well, their names are Alcyon, Philomena, Myrto, and Cherise, and they were Hippolyta's royal guard before Diana was born, for lack of a better term. The group was a circle that formed a protective barrier around the queen and even went as far as to swear a blood oath against any form of failure. They even slept in bedchambers that surrounded Hippolyta's chambers.
This would go on for countless millennia until word began to spread that Hippolyta was asking the gods for a child. She wasn't the only one, as every so often, Amazons would mold baby dolls out of clay, with many treating the infant homunculi as being real, sometimes to a disturbing degree. The Circle took it upon themselves to kill those whom they believed had gone mad. Alcyon pleaded with Hippolyta to halt this nonsense, believing that it would bring about the end of the Amazons. But Hippolyta instead believed that a child would lead to the group's salvation, not damnation. Remembering the vow they swore to never allow harm to come to the Queen, the Circle had put a different plan into motion. The gods granted Hippolyta's wish, and a clay molding of a girl that she had named Diana was imbued with life. Diana was welcomed as a child of all Amazons. Still, the Circle would not allow for Diana's existence, and put their horrible plan into motion by first taking out the military chief Philippus. The Circle then entered Hippolyta's quarters while the queen slept. Alcyon raised her sword and froze. The mere sight of the baby Diana provided a calming influence over the Circle. They tried to resist, but Hippolyta soon woke and grabbed her sword. She attacked her once trusted guards, blinding Philomena in the process. The Circle tried to fight back, but again, Diana was somehow able to calm the group long enough until they were arrested.
Obviously, they were then imprisoned. Until now.
The platoon commander interrogates the now freed members of the Circle about how to take down Hippolyta, who has sent a message. "You do not belong here, and my daughter is coming for me." They then receive word of Wonder Woman arriving on Kane Milohai's clamshell. She's greeted on the beach by a squad of troopers, but Diana isn't alone, as her primate compatriots leap into battle. Diana instructs the guerrillas to wait in the jungle in order to ambush any further incursions from the troops and takes off to find Hippolyta. However, word has gotten back to the commander that Hippolyta was shot down off her Pegasus and they have found a body. Their victory is short-lived as the Circle rise up and take down the commander. As this is happening, Diana comes across her mother's dying body. A group of soldiers happen across the two and Diana goes on the attack. She only stops when one of them surrenders. Remembering to always show mercy and compassion above slaughter, Wonder Woman orders them off Themyscira, and if they try to return, the sharks have been trained to recognize them. After the invaders leave, the Circle springs an attack on Diana and claims Hippolyta's body. The Queen is still alive, but is in need of urgent care. If Hippolyta is to be saved, Wonder Woman will have to defeat each of the 4 members of the Circle and get to an Amazonian funeral pyre, and she will have to do it alone. Diana first takes on Philomena and Myrto. Though blind, Philomena is still a master archer, and Myrto then catches Diana with her trident, allowing Charisse to enter the fray and knock Wonder Woman unconscious with her club. The trio then rather foolishly try to leave, but Diana revives and gets back at them, taking them down rather quickly. That leaves Alcyon, who is already at the pyre. Diana states that she is more than just clay given life. She has a soul, she is human, and Amazon. Hippolyta revives long enough to point out that Diana did not destroy the Amazons. She saved them. She was raised not as Hippolyta's daughter, but as the daughter of all Amazons on Themyscira. Alcyon denies this and asks for death, or she will come back to kill Diana. Once more, Wonder Woman chooses mercy over killing, and Alcyon then throws herself over a cliff and into the shark-infested waters below. No body is found. The other members of the Circle are returned to their prisons, and Tolofar's troops elect to stay on Themyscira and nurse Hippolyta back to health.
Well, at least until the Manazons arrived. And yeah, that really did happen.
Wonder Woman returns to Washington, D.C. and is greeted by another surprise party, this time being thrown by the Justice League. Etta Candy is also there, but it's okay. As it turns out, she and Diana are in cahoots to throw more smoke in Sarge Steele's eyes. The two step away to talk, with Etta admitting that she had dropped by earlier to find a strange man sitting in the apartment, and Diana wanting to figure out more about the Circle's motivations, even if it means that she won't like everything she finds.
This concludes Wonder Woman, The Circle. Now, I am aware that the collected edition for this story actually contains the 2-part storyline that followed this. However, I only own the 4 issues of The Circle, so that's what I'm running with. Anyway, how was it? Well, on the plus side, I think there's some great characterization for Hippolyta, Wonder Woman herself, Tolafar and his ape troops. Those are all really well done. And that's coupled with some spectacular artwork from Terry and Rachel Dodson. The Dodsons have always been a really good example on how to do cheesecake artwork. And they couple that with some really nice action set pieces that really do a good job of telling the story. If I have one tiny problem with it, well, a couple of tiny problems with it. One, the motivations of the Circle are unclear. They're muggy at best. Like, I get that they think that Diana's arrival is going to bring about the end of the Amazonian race, but they don't exactly cite what it is that would cause that. Like, is there some sort of prophecy or something? It feels a little lacking. Like, at one point, too, it's also implied that they're just jealous that Hippolyta got to have a child and no other Amazon could. But again, it's like, I'm not entirely sure if that was really what they were running with or what they were supposed to be running with. Again, maybe that's tackle and layer issues, I'm not entirely sure. Likewise, there's this subplot with Etta Candy coming into Diana's apartment and fighting some guy there, but again, it doesn't really go anywhere. Maybe that's tackle and layer issues. Instead, it could be planting seeds for later, which is fine, but it sort of feels a little forced. Still, I don't know, too, and those things are kind of keeping me from recommending this completely to new readers, but if you do read this, you're going to get a pretty darn good Wonder Woman story out of it. So I am going to give Wonder Woman The Circle a B. And with that, let's see what we'll be doing next time on the Random Trade Review.
Hey guys, got a request for the show? Check out my Patreon at patreon.com/sleepytimeforcatproductions. And if you like the video, give it a like, share it, subscribe, and ring that notification bell.